Hey everyone, welcome to our advanced course for Google Docs. My name is Elissa Smith. I've been a software applications trainer for over 20 years. I'm super excited to be guiding you on this journey into advanced features of Google Docs. Now, in this course, we're going to explore some great features like how to create and format tables. We're also going to look at text styles and how you can create your own text styles, along with bringing images into Google Docs and other advanced features like being able to bring in data charts and even create more advanced documents that have things like bookmarks and even footnotes in them. So join us. As always, if you're enjoying these videos, please like and subscribe. And if you're looking to earn certificates and watch videos without ads, sign up for the Learnit Anytime. It's our dedicated online training subscription service. Check the link in the description for more info on that. If you have any questions you want answered by one of our awesome instructors, please join our off-site community. The link is also in our description. And as always, if the course has exercise files, you'll find them in the video description below. Hey everyone, we are ready to create some tables inside of Google Docs. So I'm going to come up and actually create a new blank Google Doc just by clicking, of course, the blank button. This takes me into a new blank Google Doc, and I want to add a table at the very top. So I'm going to come up to the Insert drop-down menu. Table is the second item down. Now, what I'm going to do is actually take my mouse on the secondary menu and run it over the number of columns and then down to the number of rows that I want. I want my table to be 3 columns wide by 3 rows down, so that's what I've done. You can do tables up to 20 by 20, so basically 20 rows down, 20 columns over. It's pretty large. As soon as I click, I will see my table get put into my Google Doc. Now let's take a minute and talk about how you move in a table. Well, first of all, we can use the tried and true click. This will move your cursor to the cell that you click in. But you can also use some great keyboard tools as well. The tab button is great for moving from, again, one cell to the next. It'll move you horizontally over. And then you can use Shift Tab to move yourself back. You can always use the arrow keys to move you up and down, left and right. Now, to select an entire row, for example, you're going to bring your mouse pointer over on the left-hand side and just left drag over it, and that will select that particular row. Columns work the same way. You're going to rest your mouse pointer over the top of the column and drag down. You just have to be careful because it also likes to select the entire table, as you can see here. So sometimes it helps to bring your mouse pointer kind of down into the first cell of the table and then drag down. Now, what about some shortcuts for adding like a new row at the bottom of a table? If you go to the last cell of your table and hit the Tab button, this is a great shortcut for adding additional rows. So now my table is 4 by 4. And you know, a lot of the table tools that you may have used in other word processing applications like Microsoft Word, they work in similar ways inside of Google Docs. So again, we'd love to have you try it out. Open up a new blank Google Doc and try creating your own table by going up to that Insert drop-down menu and again, make a table of your own. Hi, everybody. I want to be able to take my table in a Google Doc and add new rows and columns, delete rows and columns, and also, change how the width of the rows and columns are working. So let's take a peek at that. First of all, how do I add new rows and columns to my table? I already saw that if I go to the bottom of the last cell of my table and I hit Tab, when my cursor is blinking in that cell, I get a new row. So it's a great way to, for example, do data entry, because as soon as you get to that last row, last cell, hit Tab, you've got a new row. You can keep typing. But what if I'm in the middle of the table and I need a new column? This is where, if you're on a PC, right-clicking is a great way to go. So if you right-click, you'll see that you get a secondary menu. And this about the third tier, fourth tier down in this menu, you've got great tools for helping you insert both rows and columns. And it lets you pick where they're going to go. So I want a new column to go to the right. So I'm going to come into this secondary menu and left-click on Insert Column Right. You'll see that's exactly what it does. And notice how it auto fits the columns so that they're all staying within the width of the page. Now, a new row, same thing. I can come in, right click, and say new row above or below. In this case, I'll say below, and you'll notice it puts my new row right in where I need it to go. Now, what about adjusting the width and the height of columns and rows? Let's start with column widths. I'm going to bring my mouse pointer right between the columns and I'm just going to left drag. And this is very common in a lot of your, again, both spreadsheet and word processing applications. You can basically auto fit your columns just by left dragging and adjusting the width that way. Additionally, when it comes to row height, same thing. I'm going to rest my mouse pointer between the rows that I want to adjust, just left drag down, and that particular row will get taller. You can also go to a row that you're typing in and hit your enter key. That's an additional way to add extra line space into those columns and rows. Now, as always, we want you to try this out. So please go into our exercise files. There's a file there called Table 1A. And of course, it has a table in it. And we want you to practice adding your own columns and rows to that Google Doc. Go for it. Hey everybody, welcome back to Google Docs Advanced. I want to show you how to format a table, also how to delete rows and columns, merge cells. Just some great tools to help you make this table look the way you want it to. So let's start. Notice I'm in a Google Doc called Office Return Plan. If you go to our exercise files folder and open up Office Return Plan-A, you can try out this same stuff in that Google Doc. Now, the first thing I need on my document is I really need a title row at the top of the table. To do this, I need to insert a new row in my table. So what I want to do is click on the row that I want my new row to go above. Now, I could right-click and do this, but there's actually also a menu in the Format drop-down menu that you can get to. So I'm going to go up to Format, come down to Table, and you'll see that you get some of the same options you would have if you were to right-click. And I'm going to go ahead and select Insert Row Above. So I get a new row. It does have 4 cells in it, and I need these cells to all become one. This is called merging. To do that, I'm going to highlight the cells in that row, and then this one is easiest to get to if you right-click. So I'm going to right-click, and you'll notice that about towards the middle bottom of the right-click menu, I have a Merge Cells, and it takes all of those cells and makes them into one. Now I can type above the top my title for my table. Now, if I would like to format this text, it's really easy. It's just like formatting normal text in a paragraph. I'm going to drag over the top of it with my mouse, come up to the toolbar. Notice I can increase the font size, make it maybe a 14-point font size, put it in bold. I can use my center alignment to center it. I can even change the font size by using the text color button. Let's go for a lovely shade of blue. And now I've added a little bit of formatting. What if I have an extra column in this table that I would like to get rid of? You'll see here I have nearest sanitizing and nearest hand washing area. I really don't need both. They're kind of redundant. So I'm going to right click in the column I would like to get rid of. I don't even need to highlight it. I can just right click. But you'll notice that when I do that, it's easiest if you do it away from text, that I do get an option to delete the column. When I do this, it's pretty cool because it actually, you'll notice, resizes the other columns underneath, and my top row isn't impacted because it's just all one cell. Now, finally, one more thing that you can do. Sometimes in tables, it's very common to get unequal column widths. You can see that here. And this is just because people have been dragging the columns and changing their width. But if you would like to make them all consistent, you can highlight the columns or the rows, right-click inside of them, and come down to Distribute Columns. What this does is it gives all the columns the same width. If I were to do the same thing with the rows, the same thing would happen. Now, finally, if I need to delete an extra row, same thing. I'm going to right-click in it, come down and say Delete, in this case, Row, and you'll notice it just gets rid of that extra row for me. So the right-click menu is really important. As always, we'd love to have you try this out. So please go into the exercise files folder, open up Office Return Plan A, and try, again, formatting that table. Hi everyone, I want to take a table in a Google Doc and really get in and format that table. So we've already seen how you can use options on the toolbar to help you format text, but what about things like the background color of your table, also the border color of the cells, things like that. So notice I am in a file called Office Return Plan-Format. In the exercise files folder, there's also an Office Return Plan-Format A if you want to try this out. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to actually come into an area called the table properties. So for this, I'm going to right click anywhere inside of my table, and notice about fourth or fifth from the bottom, you'll see table properties. If you were not on a PC and could right click, if you go up to the format drop-down menu and come down to table, you'll see the bottom of that menu will also take you to table properties. So there's multiple ways to get here. When you get into this box, you're going to see, again, properties for the entire table. First of all, what is your color border? Now, the default is black. Notice I could come in and make this white. If I do that, though, notice when I come to my table, I don't see the borders anymore. This is a great way to create really lined up text without having to have borders turned on. I'm going to turn that off just so we can see them again. And then I'm going to right click and go back down to table properties. I want to change my borders to maybe a dark, well, let's say a dark gray. I can also increase their font size. Notice right here, the fonts are done in points. Then I also have a cell background. Sometimes this is referred to as the fill color of your cells. I'm going to come in and change it to kind of a light yellow. Now, cell vertical alignment. This means if your cells are really tall, are they aligned at the top, middle, or bottom? I'm going to put mine in the middle. Now, you can't really tell right now because all of my cells are so narrow in their height, but we're going to change that in a minute. And notice right here, if the table doesn't take up the whole page, you can also see what your cell alignment is. Now, cell padding is going to be the amount of space between the top, bottom, left, and right of each cell. And then notice here, you can also manually adjust your column widths. So maybe I want to change all of my column widths to just 2. Now I'm going to click on OK. And notice that in this case, because I didn't have the rest of the table selected, it's just done it to my one cell that I was in. But do notice here that the borders have all updated. So this time I'm going to highlight the entire table and right click and go down to, in this case, you'll notice when I right click, I'm not seeing that option. It's because I've selected outside the table. So if that happens, go up to the format drop-down menu and actually come down to table and then go to table properties. Now in here, if I make those changes, right? If I go ahead and make those changes, notice the column width is still there, but I'm also going to adjust the column widths, and then I'm going to click on OK. This time, notice the changes have been applied to the entire table, and even my column widths have adjusted. Now, I want you just to see that if I make this particular row a little bit taller, notice how the alignment of text is always at the top, and that's because that was the cell alignment that I selected. As always, we want you to try this out. So like we said, go into the exercise files folder, open Office Return Plan -Format A, and try formatting your table. Hey everybody, welcome back. We're ready to apply some text styles in a Google Doc. Now right now I have a file called Agent Meeting open. Please remember, if you go to our exercise files folder, you can also open up Agent Meeting -A and try out some, again, text styles in that Google Doc. Now first of all, what is a text style? A text style is a combination of pre-built formats that are going to include font size, font color, even if something is in italics or bold, all combined into one word to quickly apply all those formats at the same time. Now, great news, Google Docs has some built-in text styles that you can use. Sometimes they're also referred to as paragraph styles. So to use one of their default, again, paragraph styles, the first thing you need to do is actually click in the paragraph where you'd like to apply the style. So I've come in here and I'm going to click in my very top line and come up to the toolbar. You'll see right now it just says normal text. This is the default style, which means there really isn't a preset style right now applied. But if I click on it, you're going to see that I have several, all the way from title down to heading 3. Do know once you pick heading 3, there are actually 3 more headings. It goes all the way down to heading 6 that you can use, but you won't see it until you apply heading 3. So I'm going to go ahead and click on title, and you'll notice it applies it to that specific line of text. Now, if I come down to another line, again, another paragraph, and this time I'm going to select heading 2, you'll notice it applies it there. And I could continue to come down in the document and apply, again, these different pre-built styles. And it's a really great way to quickly update my document as I come in and just quickly add these headings to my doc, and it creates consistency. It's also a way later on to build outlines out of your Google Docs, and they automatically save, and you don't have to create them because they're built into the document. We'd love to have you try this out, so go to the exercise files folder, open up Agent Meeting -A, and apply some of these pre-built paragraph styles to your own Google Doc. Hey everybody, we've been using paragraph styles in a Google Doc, but what if we want to take the paragraph styles that Google has provided and add some zing to them? I mean, be able to adjust them, make them our own. So I have a Google Doc open called Agent Meeting Dash Styles. If you go to the, again, exercise files folder, you can open up Agent Meeting Dash Styles A and play with the styles in there just like we're going to do. So first of all, I've applied heading 2 to a couple of the paragraphs in this document. You can see up here because when I look at the toolbar, it tells me where that particular style has been applied. It's great, but I'd like to update it. And the great thing about a style is if you update it in one place, Google Doc updates it wherever you've applied the style. So it's a great way to make sure that you have consistent formatting in your Google Doc. First thing I'm going to do is actually just click anywhere in that paragraph, and I'm going to make some changes to it. I'm going to highlight actually all of it because these will be some additional formatting changes. I'm going to come in and apply a new font color. I'm also going to apply a new highlight color. So notice now it has the red font color with the yellow background. It sticks out a lot. Now, at this point, if I look at the other places where I've applied heading 2, they have not updated. So I'm going to make sure that they also look like this new change I've made. I'm going to click in that paragraph, come up to the Format, again, drop-down menu, and I'm going to come down to Paragraph Styles. Now, I know it's heading 2 that I've been playing with, so I'm going to come down to heading 2, and you'll notice right now that next to heading 2, I see the check mark Apply Heading 2. But I've updated my heading 2. I'm going to select Update Heading 2 to match. Now, what's super cool is everywhere where I applied heading 2, it now looks the same as the heading 2 that I've updated. So this is a great way for you to take existing styles and update them, like I said, with some zing of your own. So try it out. Hey everyone, welcome back. We want to create an outline of a Google Doc. Now, one of the great things about using paragraph styles in a Google Doc is that it will automatically create an outline for you. So just a quick review on what those paragraph styles are. Remember, a style is a combination of formats, everything from font style to size of font and even color. So right here, if I look at this document, and by the way, if you want to try this out, go to the exercise files, open up Consulting Agreement 2021-1, and you can give this a try yourself. But when I click inside the very top paragraph and I look at my, again, toolbar, I'm going to see right here, it tells me that the title style has been applied to that particular paragraph. If I scroll further down in the document, I'm going to start seeing that there are headings. And when I click on one of those paragraphs, I can see it tells me it's heading 1. Now, by doing this, I'm actually creating an outline of my document. And let's look at the purpose behind creating an outline. To open the outline up, I'm going to come to the top left-hand corner, really right under the undo and redo buttons, and I'm going to see the Show Document Outline button. When you click on this, you're going to see a list of where those different heading styles or different paragraph styles have been applied inside of the Google Doc. All you do to use them is click, and it actually takes your cursor up to the front of the given paragraph. So not only is it an outline, but also it's a way to jump to specific points in the document, much like a bookmark or a hyperlink. And in a really long document, it's a spectacular way to quickly jump to different sections that you need to get to. Now, the other thing that can happen, and if you come down towards the bottom of the document, you can actually add to the outline. To do this, you're going to apply paragraph styles. So I'm going to come right here to start with, and I'm going to click in my number 12 heading that I haven't yet applied a heading style to. Now I can come up here and use the toolbar by applying the heading there. I can also come up to the format ribbon and go to paragraph styles. This is kind of like going the long way. Go down to heading 1 and then select paragraph style that way. You'll notice that that one actually did the entire paragraph. So I'm going to come down a little bit so it doesn't include the paragraph above. And then I'm going to do heading 1. Now, another thing to note is that it doesn't have to just be heading 1. If you look here, any of the styles in this list, including some additional styles that you'll only see when you go to the Format drop-down menu and then go to Paragraph Styles, you'll see they go all the way down to heading 6. These will also be included in your outline. So right here in the Signatures line, if I were to come and I were to apply a heading 2 to that, you'll see that it's already added it to my outline automatically. And again, this is a great way for me to quickly update my outline by adding additional styles. You can use this not only as a way to create the outline, but again, as a way to quickly jump to specific sections. Try it out on your own. Hey, everybody, I'm ready to add some images to one of my Google Docs. The thing about images is that they add so much detail and they also cue people's interest. What's the saying? A picture is worth 1,000 words. Well, that's exactly what we're trying to do. So right now I have a Google Doc open called Travel Brochure. If you go into the exercise files, you can find a Travel Brochure-1 that you can try the same thing out in. Now, what this is basically a document talking about different travel destinations that a travel company is offering. And right here, you're going to see that I have Rome, Ireland, and Iceland listed in my document. I'd like to have a picture underneath each of these locations just to help cue people's interest and get them excited. So I've clicked right after the word Rome and I'm going to hit enter. Now over on the right, I already have it open, but I'm going to close it so you can see how to open it. To search Google for an image that you would like to insert into your doc, we're going to come up here to the Insert drop-down menu, and Image is the very top item. And you'll see that there are different places that I can get images from. Now, if you don't have an image, a good place to start is to search the web. This is using the Google image search. I still remember the first time I did it and how impressed I was with all the images that came back. We do have to be aware of copyright when we use this tool, but in this case, we just want a picture. So we're going to click on Search the Web. You'll notice that it opens up a search tool where I can type in something that I'm looking for. In this case, pictures of the beautiful city of Rome. And as soon as I hit enter, it starts searching for me. And here I can see all the different images. To select one of them, I'm going to come over and click. You'll see that when I click, it gets a blue circle with a white check mark in it in the top left-hand corner. Now down on the bottom right, this is really important. To finish inserting the image, I need to click on the Insert button. This is what will actually bring the image into my Google Doc. Now you got to remember that when you bring in images, chances are they're going to be too big or too small. So it's up to you to click on the image. Notice you get the blue sizing handles on the middle of the borders and also the four corners. And you can actually use your mouse pointer on any of the corners to drag the image in or out to make it smaller or make it larger. This is a great way to size it down so you can get it to fit more correctly in your Google Doc. Remember, we want you to try it out. So go to the exercise files folder, open up Travel Brochure-1, and try searching Google and finding an image of your own to put into your Google Doc. Hey everyone, welcome back. We want to look at some more options for inserting images into a Google Doc. So right now I have the travel brochure from computer open. If you go into the exercise files folder, you can open up the same thing by going in and opening travel brochure from computer-A. So you can try this out. Now what we want to do at this point is actually get an image that's stored locally on a network or hard drive of the device that we're using. But again, the steps are very similar. I still need to click where I would like the image to go. In this case, it's an image of Ireland, and I do have an image of Ireland stored locally on the computer that I'm working from. So I'm going to hit enter so that my image will be placed below the word, and then I'm going to go up to the Insert drop-down menu and come to image. And again, we're going to see the different locations where I can get my image. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and use the very first one, which is upload from computer. A little bit different because we have to remember that Google Docs is a cloud-based application, which means for me to be able to bring the image from my device, it's actually going to have to upload or copy it. But first I need to get the image. So I'm going to select upload from computer. It's going to ask me where that image is located. I'm going to need to travel to it. Once I find the image, I'm going to click on it and then I'm going to say open. But really what's going to happen is it's going to copy it into my Google Doc and upload it for me. Will it still be back on my local computer? Yes. This is not where it's moving it. It is a copy and it is also an upload, which means sometimes it can be a little bit slow depending on your internet speed. You'll see for me, it came in really quickly. Now, can I adjust the size of this image like I did up above with Rome? I sure can. I can come to the corners and drag it and adjust its size and get it placed, again, size-wise and also location-wise where I want it to go. Thanks so much for joining us. And remember, you can try this out by going into the exercise files. Hey everyone, I want to be able to take an image that's stored in my Google Drive and actually bring it into my Google Doc. Now, first of all, let's just see where this image is located. If I come to the top left-hand corner of any Google Doc, I'm going to see that there's a little blue page. This will allow me to go to the Docs homepage. When I click on this, I just want you to see that it shows me any, again, of the templates or even recent documents that I've worked on. To the left-hand side of this, I actually have the main menu for my Google Docs account. If I click on this, I can actually come down to my Google Drive. And just a reminder that Google Drive is where you can store all of your Google content, including Google Docs and images. When I go to Drive, you'll see here that it shows me anything that's in my Google Drive, and this can include images. And right here, I can actually see this Iceland image that I would like to bring into my Google Doc. So what I want to do is go back again to the document that I'm working with. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the browser tab that I was just in, and then I'm going to come down to my recent documents and actually open up the document that I want to put this into. Now, if you want to try this out in the exercise files folder, you'll see again a doc called Travel Brochure from Google Drive, and you can use it to try this out. Now, to actually bring that Iceland picture into the document, I'm going to scroll down to where I see again the information about Iceland, and I'm going to hit enter. Then to actually bring that image from my Google Drive into Google Docs, I'm going to go to the Insert drop-down menu, come to Image, and then I'm going to select Drive. It's the third item down. Now, what's great about this is it opens up a task pane over here on the right, and you'll see at the top that it lets me see any recent images I've worked with. It'll also take me just directly to my Google Docs, my Drive within Google Docs. And then also here, you'll notice if I have any shared areas within Google Docs, any shared folders, it would let me see those. But if I go back to my Drive, notice it's showing me images because that's what I've selected. I'm going to select the image of Iceland. Notice at the bottom, there's an insert button on the bottom right-hand corner of the task pane, and that's what will pop the image in. And just like with my previous images, I can click on it and size it by using those sizing handles on the corners, which is really nice because it sizes it both horizontally and vertically at the same time. So you've got lots of options for bringing images in. Hey everybody, welcome back. We want to look at how you can set up the text wrapping around your images. This means how does text and my image work together in a document. So first of all, I want to go ahead and bring another image into my document to use. I'm going to click right here and go up to the Insert drop-down menu, come to Image, and this time I'm just going to search the web. Remember, I can come over to the right and use the Google search to look for anything that I need. Just remember, these are not copyrighted, but it's a great way to bring an image quickly into your document. And I'll see my image get put in here in just a moment. It's come in a little bit big, but notice that it's gone exactly where my mouse cursor was. I can click on that image and I can size it. But notice right now it's set up to be in line with text, meaning the text and the image are on the same level. Now I'm going to go ahead and come up to my toolbar and zoom in just a little bit because I want you to be able to see these options. Notice that when I click on the image down below in line with my text, I get my word wrapping options. The first one is the one that's currently highlighted. Hopefully you can see that. This means in line with the text, meaning it's on the same level as the text, and that's why it's creating such a big space here. It's trying to be on the same line with my first bullet point. The second option I have is wrap text, and you'll see this actually wraps the text around my image. This is a great way to go when you want the text and the image to be on the same level. Notice right here it's telling me again what the margin is around my image. It's 1/8 of an inch, so I can actually come here and make it even less, and you'll see that that allows the text to wrap more easily and be closer to the edge of the image. The third option I have here is breaking text. This means that the image is going to be on its own separate line so that the text is either above or below it. Then I have behind text. This means that if I put the image on top, it tries to have the text come through. Only do this if you can actually read the text, right? If the image is too bright like this one, it's not going to work. And then the final one is in front of the text. And in this case, it actually covers the text up, which is really pretty useless, right? So I'm going to go ahead, and the one that I want to use is going to be the wrap text, where it's going to try to put my text right around the image. And notice that if I drag the image back over, it moves my text over just a little bit. And then by setting my margins here, it allows them to be really close to each other. Now here's the other thing, notice, move with text. This means that if I move the image along, you'll notice that it still keeps its same word wrapping options. But these allow you to also decide how you're going to have that image being placed next to the text on the page. As always, we want you to try this out. So go into the practice folder, open up Travel Brochure with Text Wrap -A, and you can give it a try. Hey everybody, we want to go ahead and explore images inside of Google Docs a little bit more and see how we can impact the options that come with that image. So right now I'm in a document called Travel Brochure with Text Wrap. If you go into the exercise files folder, you can open up this same file. It's called Travel Brochure with Text Wrap -B, and you can try this out. But you'll see that there's a bulleted list towards the top, and I have a cute image here of a guy with some balloons in the background. It's really pretty nice, but I need to go in and look at some of the options I have to work with this image. So I'm going to actually click on the image, and you'll see that up in my toolbar, the buttons change just a little bit when I actually select an image. Right here, you'll see that on the right-hand side, I now have this image options button. If I click on this button, it actually opens up my image options task pane over on the right, and you'll see that there are different sections in it, including size and rotation, and even text wrapping along with position, recoloring, and adjustments. Now, the first one has to do with the size and position of the image on my page. So if I click on this, you'll see here that I can actually come in and I can manually resize both the width and the height of this image just using the options. It's measuring those in inches. You can see that. I can also adjust the width scale and the height scale, and you'll see some of the other options that are in here, including the ability to actually rotate the image, which, depending on the type of document you're creating, might be effective. But in this one, we're going to keep it the same tilt. But when I come up to the caret or the arrow on the top, I can actually collapse that section down. Now, the other section is text wrapping. This is the second one down, and this takes us back to those text wrapping options, but rather than being actually in the document like we see right now, they're inside of this task pane. And sometimes this is a little bit easier way to understand the text wrapping options. Now, right now I have wrap text turned on. You can see that, but this would again allow me to update that. And right here, it lets me decide where the text will wrap. Do I want it to wrap on both sides of the image or just the left or the right? And you can see, depending on the type of document that you're creating, this could impact, again, how the image will work in line with text. And if you deselect your image, you'll see that image options clears. So I have to keep the image selected to continue seeing those different options. And again, we want you to go in and try exploring the image options that are available. So open up that document that we talked about in the practice files folder and give it a whirl. Welcome back, everybody. We want to spend a little bit more time exploring the image options pane that will open up when we have an image selected. So again, in the practice files folder, I'm in Google Doc called Travel Brochure with Text Wrap. You can find that same one. It's called Travel Brochure with Text Wrap -B, and try this stuff out. So to open up the image options box, I have to click on an image. And right here, I have an image. As soon as I click on it, I'll see in my toolbar that the image options button will populate up on my toolbar. I can click on image options, and of course, my image options taskbar populates over on the right. Now, we've already explored size and rotation and text wrapping, but I want to take a minute and explore some of these other options. So position is the one that's in the middle. This has to do with how that graphic or image is placed on your Google Doc. When I click on this, you'll notice that it gives me different options. Move with text just means that my image will move relative to the text that's next to it, but I also have an option to do fixed position on page. This one's kind of nice because there are actually layouts that you can pick from that let you take that image and move it to the middle of the page, or even up to the top left-hand corner. And it will maintain its current, again, text wrapping options, but you can see how it really moves it around. In my case, I want to just go ahead and keep it and move it back to where it was. So if I go back and say move with text, then I can move it back down by the bulleted list. Now, as we continue through our journey here with these different options and image options, I want to move down now to recolor. This allows me to take my image, and right now it says no recolor, but notice I can click, and there are different, again, image coloring options that will, for example, give the image a different background color. And if you come down to the bottom, you're going to even have more of the traditional kind of black and white or sepia options. So lots of choices, including where it takes the black and white and trades places with them. So you can really change again how your options, how your image looks, or just go back to the top and pick recolor to turn all that off. Now, under adjustments, I can come in and I can actually make, for example, my picture be brighter. I can change its contrast, and I can make it transparent. Now, the reason I might mention transparency is if you make your graphic more transparent, and then you come up to text wrapping, you could actually come in and say, hey, I'd like the graphic to be behind the text. Notice right now, it's still with the wrap text option. If I put it behind text and then I actually left drag it behind the text, you'll see that now the graphic can appear behind the text without overpowering the text so I can't see it. And always remember that when you click on that, again, when you click away from your graphic, the image options box will not close, but you won't see the options in it. So you need to keep your graphics selected so that you can continue to see those options and adjust how that image is appearing in your Google Doc. Remember, try this out. Open up Travel Brochure with Text Wrap -B and try changing more of those image options yourself. Hey everybody, right now I have a Google Doc open called Travel Brochure Change Image, and this is one that we've been playing with. It has different images in it. You can see them here, but what if I decide that I'd like to change one of the images that's in my Google Doc? So I'm gonna go ahead and come up to the toolbar and actually zoom in. I have this image right here, a picture of Rome, and I'd like to try something else, maybe that's a little bit more exciting. So I'm actually gonna click on the image. Of course, we're gonna see the sizing handle show up, and of course the little image wrap options down below. Notice right here I do have this ellipses, and remember in Google Docs if you see an ellipses it means there are more options. This will actually allow you to get to size and rotation, and it actually opens up your image options task pane over here on the right. But to change the image, I actually need to do something a little bit different. So I'm going to close my image options menu, and I'm going to keep my image selected because remember, up on your Google Docs toolbar, when you select an image, the buttons change a little bit, especially over on the right-hand side. We've already explored image options, but right here we have an option to replace the image, which is exactly what I want to do. So I'm going to come in and click on Replace Image. Notice all the different locations where I can get a new image from my computer, by searching the web, Google Drive, even from photos, a website link, or from the camera associated with my device. We're going to go ahead and do something that's on the web. So I'm going to say search the web, come in again, and using the Google search for images, I'm going to type in the topic I'm looking for. And it's going to look for more images. Let's try the Colosseum this time. I'm going to click on it. Notice how it gets the blue highlight. Now this time it doesn't say insert, it says replace because I'm not inserting a new image, I'm replacing a current image. So I'm going to go ahead and click on replace, and it takes a little bit of time, but now I have a different image. Now keep in mind, it might come in with different wrapping options, and I'm seeing that here underneath. So I want to come in and change it back to text wrap. You can see what that's doing again to the text that's over on the left. So I may need to come in and update my text wrap, also where my text is located, just so that that image will work for me the way the other image did. And now I'm updating that so that the image will behave itself. And maybe with this one, I'd rather it be in line with the text. And you'll notice that's going to allow me to have it be, for example, below it by putting it on its own line. As always, we want you to try this out. So go into Travel Brochure -Change Image A in the exercise files and try replacing one of the images with something else. Hey everybody, welcome back. We want to create a drawing of our own inside of a Google Doc. So I have a new blank Google Doc. It's actually called Drawing 1. If you go to the exercise files folder, you can open up Drawing 1-A and use it for this process. But there is a drawing tool inside of Google Docs. If you go up to the Insert drop-down menu and come down to Drawing, it's second from the top, you can create a new drawing here or insert one that's saved to Google Drive. We're going to do a new one. It opens up a drawing canvas with a toolbar that gives me great options. One of them is to create a text box. I'm going to go ahead and click on that, left drag my crosshair around, create my text box, type my text inside of it, and then I'm going to go ahead and say save and close. This will actually take my drawing and put it into my document. But notice that when I click on it, it's an image and not just text. Now notice if I want to go back and edit this, there's an edit button. If I click on edit, it opens up my drawing tool again, takes me back in. Now when I click on my text box, using the additional options here, I can come in, do things like add an additional border, even come in, for example, and add a background color to my image. I can also take the text inside of it, for example, and center align the text. So this toolbar can be really critical in your journey. You can even do borders that are dashed or dots instead of the solid lines. And if you want to add some additional shapes, you can come in, for example, and pick the line tool and actually draw an arrow, and even the arrows can be formatted, for example, with higher number of points and even, for example, an arrow color. And again, when I'm done, if I draw something I don't want, I can hit the delete key and it will be deleted if it's selected. And I can always say save and close, and my drawing will be inserted into my Google Doc. Just remember that it's not normal text. It is a drawing. So if I want to move it, I can left drag it like a graphic. I can also come to the corners and size it and make it bigger, but it's not going to be like normal text. So try this out. Go into the exercise files folder, open up Drawing 1-A, and try creating your own drawing inside of a Google Doc. Hey everybody, welcome back to our Advanced Google Docs course. We want to look at how we can bring in a chart into a Google Doc. And this is if you don't have any existing chart data. Well, the great thing is that Google Docs supports you being able to create a chart from scratch. So in order to do this, you need to open up a Google Doc. I have one open. It's called Chart 1. If you go to the exercise files folder, you can open up Chart 1-A and try this out. First of all, you need to click in your Google Doc where you want your chart to go. And then we're going to come up to the Insert drop-down menu and come down to about the fourth item, which is Chart. Now you'll see here that you have 4 basic chart types that you can bring in. You can also bring in one from Google Sheets, but in our case, we're just going to start with a good old bar chart. I'm going to click on that. And suddenly I see a chart inside of my Google Doc. Now, this is not a chart that I created. This is a chart that Google Docs has created for me. And the information in the chart is generic. You can see here it's based on team scores, which is a good place to start. Now, if I click on the chart, it is entirely an image. So you'll see here that I get word wrapping options, as well as, again, the ellipses that's vertical that I can open up and go into the image options for my chart, which is really just a picture. So you'll see here that if I want to go in and change the way my chart looks, I can do things like recolor it. And notice this will recolor the actual bars in the chart. I can also come in and I can change, for example, how transparent the chart is. But these are really treating the chart as if it was an image. Right? When it comes to actually customizing the data that's inside the chart, that's where we're going to actually have to go behind the scenes. Also notice in the top right-hand corner that right now I'm in editing mode. Now, when I want to actually go in and edit my chart, what I'm going to have to do is come to the top right-hand corner where I see it tell me that this is a linked chart. I'm going to click on the arrow and come in and open source. Any chart inside of Google Docs is going to be based on a Google Sheet that Google Docs creates when you make the chart. So when I say open source, notice that I now get a brand new tab that opens up and it's taken me into a Google Sheet called Chart 1. And Google Docs does this for me when I go in and insert a new chart from scratch. And if I look by scrolling up just a little bit in my new Google Sheet that's just opened up, we'll see that it's the same chart that I'm seeing here along with the data that the chart's based on. So again, go in and try this out. To get back to your Google Doc, you just click right here on Chart 1 and you'll see it open up. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I have a file open called chart1-updated, and it's a Google Doc that has a chart inside of it. Now, I'd like to go in and actually update the information for my chart. To do this, I need to access the Google Sheets that the chart data is actually stored in. To do that, I need to start by coming into my chart and clicking on it. After I click on my chart in the top right-hand corner, I'm going to see this little link box open up. And when I select the arrow next to the side, it's going to allow me to actually open the source for this chart or unlink it. Now, in my case, I need to make updates, so I want to open source. All your charts will be stored in Google Sheets if you create them while you're inside Google Docs. So when I come in, you might notice that my chart has a different theme applied to it, but it's still the same information. And what's really critical is the actual information that's up here at the top. So for example, I want to come in and update some of the values that are in my chart data. To do this, all I do is click and start typing in the updated values. And you'll notice that as I do this, I'm actually going to see my chart change and update as well. And this is because the most important thing is not the chart, it's the data that the chart is based on. So you'll see that as I make these changes, the chart also updates below. Now let's say that I actually want to change the chart type that I have. When I'm here inside of Google Sheets, I can click on my chart, come over, and you'll see that in the top right-hand corner of my chart, I have 3 vertical dots. When I click on these, they give me options for working with this chart. One of them is that I'd like to edit the chart. So I'm going to click on it. It's going to open up my chart editor tool. Now, any of my charts, this one is, of course, again, the semblance of the one that's in my Google Doc, are based on the changes I make here. So maybe I want to change this to a column chart. And you'll see when I make that change, it changes here. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to come back to my Google Docs tab where I left from, and I'll see that my chart has not updated. For my chart to update, I'm actually going to come right here because what we're seeing is that Google Docs is getting, again, information from Google Sheets where the chart is saved that it's updated. When I click on Update, we're going to see that my chart updates, but it continues to maintain the same color scheme that's in Google Docs. To update this, what I'm going to need to do is actually come in and go to my image options in the top right-hand corner, because inside of Google Docs, charts are an image. Come down to recolor and actually pick a different color from my image options. And this is what will actually recolor my chart. My chart back here will still have the same color scheme that was applied to it inside of Google Sheets. But the thing to remember is that anytime I come in here and update the chart here inside of Google Sheets, it'll update here. But when I go back into my Google Doc, I won't see the update. I have to click on the update so that it will refresh to my Google Sheet. The Google Sheet will always be part of the Google Doc. And again, the way to get to it is to go to your Google Doc, come to your chart, and click on the linking button at the top and say open source. And that's what will open up your Google Sheets information. And it's where your actual, again, chart data is stored. Again, try it out, open up chart1-updated A, and that'll let you try it. Hi, everybody. I would like to take a chart that I currently have in Google Sheets and put it into my Google Doc. Now, I just have an untitled new blank document open in Google Docs. So if you do the same thing, then you can try this out. Now, to actually put your chart in, remember that you need to click where you want your chart to go. And I want my chart right here at the top of my Google Doc. Then I'm going to come in and go to the Insert drop-down menu and come to Chart. Now this time the chart already exists. It's in a Google Sheets file. So I'm going to come to Google Sheets, and you'll see that it's saying, okay, here are different Google Sheets that are in your Google Drive. And to find the one with the chart, you just select it. And then you come down and say select at the bottom, or if you also say double click, it'll do the same thing. There's only one chart currently in that Google Doc. So if I click on this, it will import it, allow me to import it. And again, remember, charts are an image, but this is my chart and it was in my Google Doc. Notice when I click here, it lets me decide what my wrapping would be if I had text around the chart. But what if I want to now go in and update the way the chart looks? In the top right-hand corner, you're going to again see the linked chart options, because remember, this chart actually resides in Google Sheets. So I'm going to click on the arrow and open the source for my chart. This will take me into the Google Sheets where the chart's actually coming from and let me see its data. If I come in here and make changes to this data, I will be updating my chart, but I have to make sure that I update it once I get back into Google Docs. So notice I'm making a few changes and it's updating here. Now, if I make changes to the chart here inside of the Google Sheets, I'm going to click on the chart, come to the three dots in the top right-hand corner, and actually select Edit Chart. This is going to take me into the chart editor. From here, I can come in and do things like change the chart type that I have. So notice now I've updated it to a little bit of a different, this is a 100% stacked column chart. Notice below some of the other options that I have for customizing my chart, including the ability to do things like add customized formatting over here, like a different chart style, for example, where I change the background color. Woo, that's a little bit dark, right? Let's go with something a little bit lighter. There we go. And now I've made that change. Now, if I close Google Sheets, remember everything saves automatically and I go back to my chart in my Google Doc, it hasn't yet updated. So to update it, I need to come right here to the top right-hand corner because Google Docs knows there's been a change. Click on the update button and I'll see my chart update with the changes that I made inside of Google Sheets. Again, we'd want you to try it out. So open up a new blank Google Doc and try bringing in a chart that's provided in the exercise files folder and practice making some changes to it. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to be able to edit a chart in one of my Google Docs the way I want it to. So if you open up editing chart-A from the exercise files folder, you can try this out. Now remember, inside of Google Docs, a chart is just an image. So we actually have to get to the source of the chart to make changes to it. So I'm going to come right here and click on my chart. You'll see it here. And of course, to edit the chart, I'm going to come to the top right-hand corner to the link button, and I'm going to say open source. This will take me in and actually open up the Google Sheet where this particular chart is stored. And you'll see here, it's called monthly cells. Now to make changes to the chart from Google Sheets, I need to again select the chart. And in the top right-hand corner, I'm going to see options that will allow me through this vertical ellipses to go into the chart editing toolbar, or I should say taskbar. So when I click on the vertical ellipses, I want to say edit chart. This opens up the chart editor where I can change the type of chart. I can also come down and change the series. But in my case, I want to customize the format of my chart. So I'm going to come to customize. Now in this menu, you're going to see, first of all, I can do chart style. This has to do with the formatting of the chart. I can do things, for example, like change the border color. I can also come in and make the chart 3D. Additionally, I could also come in, for example, and change the theme of the font inside of the chart. So you can notice how this will allow me to update the look of the chart as I make these changes. Now, in addition, if I, again, close up the chart style, I can come down, for example, to legend. And notice right now that the legend, for example, is at the top, but I can actually move it over to the right, and this will update it. I can also come in, for example, and pick a different legend font. So you can see here, and I can also change the text color of the legend by going through these different options and changing them. I can also come in and format, for example, my axes. Maybe I want the information in my horizontal axes to be in italics. And as I make these changes, I see my chart update. Just remember that you'll see the updates in Google Sheets, and they're automatically saving because we're in a cloud-based or web-based application. But when I close my Google Sheets and go back to my chart inside of Google Docs, it's not updated because I still have to click on the update button for it to refresh to the changes that were made inside of that Google Sheets. And remember that if the chart inside of Google Sheets gets deleted, this chart would also be gone because they're basically the same thing. Remember, go in and try it out. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to show you a cool feature that allows you to actually connect to events in your Google Calendar and bring them into Google Docs to take notes about them. Now, I do have my calendar open for the Google account that I'm logged into. You can see it up here, and I just want you to notice that if I go into my Google Calendar, I can see the different meetings that are on my calendar. No big deal. A lot of us maintain calendar events inside of a Google Calendar. Now, I'm going to come back over to Google Docs because it's still open and open up a new blank document. But one of the things we do a lot is take notes about meetings. What if I could bring the basics of those meetings that are already recorded in my Google Calendar and then add my notes? So what I want to do is go to the Insert Ribbon tab, click on it, and come down to Building Blocks. One of the building blocks inside of Google Docs is meeting notes. What this does is it connects to the calendar events in your Google Calendar and allows you to bring in the details. When I click on this, it shows me a list of all the different events in my calendar. I'm going to come in and pick the one that I want to do notes for, click on it, and it inserts the details. Now notice, for example, I could even attach them if I wanted, but I'm going to dismiss that. I can take my notes. It would include attendees if I had invited any coworkers to the meeting. I can come after action items and hit enter and delete that, or I can keep it in. But this allows me to actually take notes next to my meeting notes. And then basically create, for example, meeting minutes or an agenda. But the nice thing this does is it basically creates the foundation of what I'm creating because it's coming in from my Google Calendar. And again, it's an untitled document right now. So I just come up here to the top left-hand corner and save it. And then I could share it with my coworkers. Give it a try. Open up a new blank doc and try inserting some meeting notes into it. Welcome back, everybody. We want to put word art into a Google Doc. Now, word art is basically where you're making text into an image. So I'm going to click where I want my word art to go, and we're going to be using the drawing canvas again to do this. So we're going to go up to the Insert drop-down menu, come down to Drawing, and we're going to be new because our word art doesn't yet exist. In the drawing canvas, we want to go to the Actions menu and select word art. It opens up a box for us to type in the word that we want to turn into our word art. As soon as we hit enter, you'll see the word art get put into our document. When we click on Save and Close, you'll see the word art get added. Now, to edit the word art, you actually have to come in and click on it. You'll see that it looks like it is an image. But underneath, there is an edit option, along with, of course, your word wrapping options for how this particular word art will wrap around the text that it's next to. In this case, I want to click on Edit. It will open up my drawing canvas again, and I have to click on my word art because it's like an image, but now I'll see additional buttons up in this drawing toolbar to help me do things like adjust the fill color of my word art, also come in and change the border color, make the border color different styles like dots, and adjust the thickness of the word art border. Whoa, that gets a little bit crazy, doesn't it? But you can see how it really changes the way it looks. And then also do things like change the font style that it's being used for it. Now, if you want to tilt your word art, you're going to see up here there is a little button that you can click on. It's a circle that will allow you to actually tilt it. And then, of course, you have your bold and italic buttons. When you're done, if you click on Save and Close, it will close the drawing canvas and actually update the changes you've made to your word art. But notice it is a graphic rather than text. So you want to edit it, you do have to come underneath, go to the edit button, and it will actually take you back into the drawing canvas like you saw, where you have to click on it, and then you can make those additional changes that you want so that you can, again, make it look different. And as soon as you're done, when you hit Save and Close, it will refresh the graphic, or the word art in this case, and save your changes to it. But again, this is something where a little goes a long way, so use it sparingly. And remember that just like a graphic, you can size it and make it smaller if it's too big. You can also use your alignment buttons to align it, for example, in the middle of your document. But it is a way to kind of make a document have a more artistic flair. Try it out. In our exercise files folder, open up Meeting with Word Art -A, and you can try adding some word art to the top of that Google Doc. Welcome back, everybody. I want to be able to put in, for example, an equation into my Google Doc. And you'll notice that when you look at the menus, you really don't see equation options. Obviously, there aren't a lot of equation symbols on the keyboard. So how do we do that? Right now, I have just a blank Google Doc open, and I'd like to insert an equation at the top. So what I want to do is actually come in, and I'm going to start by typing an equal sign because that's easy enough. I'm also going to just zoom in on it a little bit to make it easier for everybody to see. Then I'm going to come to my Insert drop-down menu and come down to Equation. It's right above Special Characters. And you're going to see a new toolbar open up underneath of my existing toolbar. It's all about helping you to create the basically syntax of an equation. You'll see here that right here I actually have Greek letters. Then I have, again, the second button over. We can see that one. Third one's got your greater than and less thans, parentheses. So you can see that it's providing you with the different notation you need to create the formula. So what I'm going to do is you'll see right now that my mouse cursor is already blinking in a little box where it's ready to use one of these symbols inside of it. So I can actually come in and I can select the symbol that I want to use and actually put it into my formula. If I decide I don't want it, I can actually just hit the backspace key, but I'm going to go ahead and type in the first number in my formula. Then I can come in and say new equation. It opens it up so that I can come in and actually use some of the characters. And you'll notice that I have created a very simple and ugly equation. And if I want to go back and edit the equation, all I have to do is click inside of it. Let's try it one more time. I'm going to start my equal sign because that's not one of the symbols. And then I'll click on new equation. Again, you'll see the different options here. This time I want to come in and say less than or equal to, and then I can type in the value that I want to use. And you can see here how that creates, again, the basics of an equation inside of my Google Doc. Try it out. Open up a new blank Google Doc and go up to that insert drop-down menu and play with building some equations of your own. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to talk about special characters inside of Google Docs. These are things like trademark symbols and copyright symbols, things that we can't normally type on our keyboard because we don't have keys representing them. But the great news is with special characters, they're pretty easy to put in. So I've come into a blank Google Doc and I'm just going to type in copyright because I need a copyright symbol. To find a copyright symbol, I need to insert it through a special character. To get to special characters, we're going to go to the insert drop-down menu and come down about the middle of the menu, you'll see special characters. Now this has a lot in it, this box. So you'll see at the top there are different, again, symbols that you can pick from, even arrows. But over here, I'm going to actually come in and type in what it is that I'm looking for, which is a copyright symbol. This will find it for me. And then I can come in and actually click on the symbol that I want. Now let's say that I want to do another one. I'm going to come underneath and hit enter, except we don't want it to keep putting it in. So let me backspace it. And now I'm going to type in trademark. Now for this one, I'm again going to search. And you'll see here that as soon as I start typing in the word trade, it finds it. If I go too far to trademark, it stops, which is the TM symbol, and it puts it into my Google Doc for me. When I'm done, all I have to do is come right here, click on the close button, and it closes that box. But again, this is a way for you to get those special characters just by searching for them by going to the insert drop-down menu and then coming to special characters. So go into a blank Google Doc and try it out on your own. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to address another just simple thing, but again, you can't find it on your keyboard, and when you can't, it will make you crazy. This is the ability to use Superscript and Subscript. Now, first of all, which is which? Well, let me type in a word in a new Google Doc to give you an example. I'm going to type in the word first. Now, it's very common in the English language when we type in the ST to have it be superscript, which means it's above the line, kind of like a flying Superman. So to do this, I've selected the text that I want to make superscript. I'm going to come up to the format ribbon. This is actually just the formatting of that text. And it is text, it's not a paragraph. When you come to the text styles, you'll see that Superscript and Subscript are actually available under the Format Text options. I'm going to select Superscript. Notice you can also do the keyboard shortcut, Control +, period, and it will do the same thing. And notice how the ST goes above the line. Now, the other option is to do Subscript, which is where one of the characters goes below the line. So I've just typed in H2O to represent water. It's very common for the 2 in that to actually go down below the line. I'm going to zoom in on it a little bit. So for Subscript, I'm actually going to come back to that Format drop-down ribbon, come to text and go to Subscript. And you'll notice it puts the 2 way down below. But again, when you're doing different notation, this can be important because it helps to more adequately present the information in a way that the reader can say, oh, that means this and that means that. So go into a blank Google Doc and try it out. Hey everybody, welcome back. We want to look at how you can create your own linking within a larger Google Doc and a tool called a bookmark. Now, you've already seen how you can create the outline view using the heading styles. In fact, if we come over here to the top left-hand corner of a Google Doc, you'll see that if different formatting styles have been used or paragraph styles in a document, they create a way to quickly jump to those specific locations. But what if you want to just take normal text or text that does not have a style applied to it and create bookmarks to those points in the document? And you can do this in any Google Doc. This is a great use case for a bookmark. And a bookmark is basically, like we've talked about, a link within a document to a specific page. You can only use bookmarks inside of Google Docs. They're not actually available right now in the other Google applications like Sheets or Slides. So let's look at how we can actually add some inside of this training proposal Google Doc. And remember, if you go to the exercise files folder, you can actually open up training proposal-A and try this out. So I'm going to come down and actually select text that I want to make into a bookmark. I'm going to highlight it. In this case, I'm going to the second page and highlighting some words in a paragraph. Then I'm going to come to my Insert drop-down ribbon and come towards the bottom, and I'm going to look for bookmark. So as you go down in this list, just go ahead and look for the bookmark option. It's down towards the bottom. All you'll see is that the text will turn a different color for just a minute, and then it turns off, and then a small little bookmark appears in the left-hand column. I'm going to come down and also do the same thing in another paragraph. I'm selecting the text, then I'm going up to my Insert ribbon, coming down to bookmark. Now, for these bookmarks to really do me any good, I need to now link them to the spot in the text where I want to be able to click and get back to the bookmark. So what I want to do is come further down in the document and find the spot that I want to be my link. Well, the first one's going to be down here in the next couple of pages where it says the word trainer. I'm going to select that. And then to make that a link, I have to link it back. So for that, we again go back to the Insert drop-down menu and come down to Link. Now you can create different kinds of links, but a bookmark is an internal link inside of your Google Doc. So right here at the bottom of the Link menu, you'll see that it will also allow me to link to headings and bookmarks. So we're going to click on that. Now I'm going to see the headings that were created by the formatting styles, but if I come down towards the bottom, I'll see those bookmarks that I selected. And it does include, the text, but also some of the additional words around it. I'm going to click on that. Now what I'll see is that where I created the link, it now looks like a hyperlink. Let's go ahead and put in one more link. I'm going to select more text, go back up to my Insert ribbon tab, come down to Link. And again, I need to go down to where the headings and bookmark links are, scroll down all the way to the bottom until I find the link I created for the second bookmark that I made. Now to use these bookmark links, I'm now going to actually come over the top of the link that's been inserted, hold down my Control key and click, and you'll notice it opens up a list and it shows me what the bookmark is. If I want to click on it, it'll actually take me up to where that bookmark was created. Let's try the second one as well. So you just come in, find where you made that. Again, hold down your Control key and click. It'll open up the bookmark menu. You can click on bookmark and it will jump you to that point in the document. So like we talked about, it's an internal way to jump around. If you come back to the bookmark, you'll notice that you can click on it and it will open up a menu that will allow you to either copy the bookmark or delete it. And by deleting it, you're just removing it from the document. If you come down, it doesn't take away the links you've created. It's just taking away the link to that specific bookmark. Go ahead and open up Training Proposal-A from the exercise files and try doing this yourself. Hi, everybody. We want to try actually adding some hyperlinks inside of our Google Doc. And remember, hyperlinks can be internal, where they link you to spots in your document, or local to your device, or they could actually take you out to a different website. And that third kind is the one we want to do. Why would we do this? To help support our Google Doc to provide extra documentation. So right now I have Training Proposal open. You're more than welcome to open up Training Proposal-A from the exercise files folder to try this out. Now, the first step to make a link is to select the text that you would like to have be hyperlinked. So I'm going to come into my Google Doc and highlight the text, and it can be a few words or an entire paragraph. Just remember, it will make it into a hyperlink. After I do that, I have some different options. I can go to the Insert drop-down menu and come down to Link. It's down towards the bottom. Or you can actually also, if you're on a PC, right-click, and you'll see that Link is also available in that right-click menu. They're both going to take you into the pasting of a link option. Now, because I want to link to a website, and because I'm already in a web browser, notice where my mouse cursor is blinking here. It's asking me to either search for a link or paste a link in. Well, if I do, for example, a search, like I want to find msn.com, just kidding, we'll look for google.com. Haha, right? I can actually look for it. Now you'll see here that it thinks it's probably found it right here from my search. If I'm not sure, I can right click on it. I can come in and notice that I can open my link and it will actually test drive it and take me to it. So I can also come in, for example, and if I've put in a link and decide I don't want it, I can right click on it and say remove. That will take it off. This time, let's say, for example, I'm not quite sure what link I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the text, right click and go to link. And right here when I see the box, I can leave the link box open, but come up to my browser that I'm in and actually open up a new browser tab. And then I'm going to navigate to the site that I want to link to. Notice here, maybe I want to do an image search. Once I find what it is that I'm looking for, I'm going to go ahead and get the link for that and copy it. And then I'm going to paste that into my box. And then I'll say apply. Now to try it out, I just come in and click on it. It brings up the hyperlink box. I can click and notice it actually takes me to the Google image search. So again, it's a way to not only link within your document, you can also use it to link outside of your document. Try it out on your own. Hi, everybody. I want to be able to add comments to my Google Doc. Now, comments allow you to kind of like add electronic sticky notes into your Google Doc when you need to, let people know how things are going at different points in the document. I've opened up training comments, and if you go to the exercise files folder and open up training comments-A, you'll have this same file. If I come down to the second page, I'm going to see where there are already some comments in this document. Over here on the right, you can see that I've created 2 different comments, and they're open right here so that I can see them. And you'll also notice that they're allowing me to basically have a discussion inside the document. Now, you can also actually, when a file is shared through Google Docs, actually have comments from coworkers inside your document. But first of all, how do you add a comment in? Well, I'm going to come in and I'm going to highlight the text that I want to have attributed to the comment. And then I'm going to go up to my ribbon or my toolbar, and right in the middle, you're going to see the Insert Comment button. When I click on it, it opens up a comment with whoever I'm logged in as in my Google account, their name, and then I can type in my comment. And when I'm done, I can just hit comment and it posts my comment. You'll notice it highlights the text because the text is now part of that comment experience. Another option for adding comments is to right-click. And when you right-click, you'll also see that in the right-click menu, there is a comment option. Again, opening up that box. And the idea is if I were sharing this file with coworkers, they would see my comments. Without impacting the text, we would be able to go through and, again, read each other's comments. Now, what's an easier way to see all the comments in a Google Doc? What I want to do is actually come to the top right-hand corner, and you'll see that next to the share button, an open comment history box will open up. This lets me see all the different comments, and if this particular file was shared with coworkers, they would be able to reply to my comments, and actually we could have discussions together about the comments. We can reply to each other's comments, and you'll actually create discussion threads. Now, if a comment gets taken care of, notice on the right-hand side, there are vertical ellipses to help you deal with that comment, or you can edit the comment and open it up. You can also delete it. If you click on resolve, it means that it's been taken care of and it will clear the comment out. If you come to a given comment and it's not necessary anymore, you can click on its ellipses and you can say delete, and it will actually take the comment out of the document. The important thing to remember with comments is that they're not going to print. They're just a way to let you leave documentation within the document that doesn't impact the text. And again, you can go through each comment, deal with it, and once it's done, you can have them all deleted, and you'll notice that it will remove them out of the document, but they're not actually impacting the text. All right, try making some comments of your own. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Sometimes in longer reports and proposals, you need footnotes because they help to document content on a given page. Well, Google Docs makes adding footnotes super easy. Right now, I have the Google Doc training footnotes open. If you go to the exercise files folder, you can open up training footnotes-A and try this out. So I've gone to the page where I want my footnote to go. Take note that when you add a footnote, no pun intended, it uses the footer area of your page to add that footnote to. So now that I've clicked in this page, I'm going to go up to my Insert drop-down menu, and towards the top middle half of this menu, you'll see Footnote. That actually takes me down to the footer area of this page, and I will type my footnote in. When I'm done, I can hit enter. It'll add an extra space if I do, but if I click away from the footnote, it just puts it in. Let's go down to another page and do the same thing. So now I'm down on page 3. I'm going to go up to insert footnote again by going to the drop-down menu. This will be my second. So notice how the first one, if we look at it, had a number 1 next to it. Now when I come down, this second one has a number 2. So it's super easy to do these. And of course, if we go in to print our document, we know that these would be printed with it when it prints if we were to print our Google Doc. So it's a great thing to know that footnotes can help you to quickly add extra documentation to your document. And notice up here where I clicked, it actually adds the little number 2 next to the text where I was clicked when I added my footnote. So go in and try adding some footnotes of your own. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to talk about something really important in Google Docs, and it's one of the reasons that cloud-based applications or web apps like Google Docs are so popular. What we have inside of Google Docs is a thing called version history. And in the past, you might have kept multiple drafts of files in case you needed to refer back to one or switch to an earlier version. But applications like Google Docs keep all of your drafts in one file, and it makes it a lot easier to go back to a previous version if you need to. And it helps to alleviate that need to have all those different versions of a document saved. Think about how redundant that is. So Google Docs is saving versions of your file within itself. So how do you get to those? Well, right now I have, again, a file in Google Docs open that's called training-version history. To access the version history, I'm going to come up to the File drop-down menu and come down to version history. It's right here. You'll see that if I come in, it'll actually let me name the current version something different, but to see the version history for this file, I'm going to click on See Version History. Now, the idea is for each time the file is open, it actually saves a version of it. It's based on the user that has the file open. So far, Oakley's the only one that's had the file open. We can see that. But what's really neat is what's inside each of these versions. If I go to an older version and click on it, I'm actually going to see that it gives me options where I can name the version and give it a different name rather than the date and the user. I can make a copy of the version, or I can restore it. Now, restoring means that it's actually going to take that version, copy it, and then it will actually make that the version that I'm working with. So you'll notice here that now I'm in that previous version. And if I go back and look at my version history again, and open it up, there are now 3, and it tells me this is a restored version. And you can see it tells me the date and time of my restored versions. So you can actually revert back to previous versions. Super cool feature. Probably one of my very favorite things about working with, again, web-based applications. To get out of my version history, I'm just going to come back here to the top left-hand corner, click on the back button, and now I'm back into my normal document. We want you to try this out. So go to training-version history A and try going into the version history and try even restoring one of those previous versions so you can see how easy it is. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I am currently in the Project Proposal Google Doc. If you go into the exercise files, you can open up Project Proposal-A to try this out. We're going to add a table of contents into this Proposal Google Doc. Now, couple things to remember about table of contents. We've talked about this, but when you open up the outline view of this document, you'll see that there are different places where paragraph styles have been applied. These locations are where you will have, again, instances in your table of contents. And if you actually come in and add an additional style by typing in text and then selecting it and then applying a paragraph style, this element will also have an entry in my table of contents. So to actually put the table of contents in, I'm going to click in the document and I'm just going to type in, what I want this to be. This is my table of contents. Hit enter, and is where my cursor is blinking is where the table of contents will go. To insert it in, I'm going to come up to my insert drop-down menu, come down to the very bottom. I have two different styles of table of contents. The first one, if you hover over it, is going to be with page numbers. The second one is with blue links. We're going to look at both so you can explore what they look like. So let me pick the first one. And again, it adds my table of contents with the page numbers. And notice that if anything were to update, this would allow me to refresh my table of contents so that if I added new, for example, pages or pages changed in my table of contents, they would automatically update. Now I'm going to come down a little bit and type a second table of contents, because I want you to see what the second style looks like. Again, I'm going to click where I want it to go. Let's kind of scroll down a little bit. Go back to the insert menu, come down to table of contents, and this time we're going to pick the second one, which is with blue links. When I click on this one, rather than giving me page numbers, I actually get hyperlinks. What's nice about this, though, is that once I come in and if I click on one of these links, it gives me the opportunity to actually use my table of contents as a way to jump down in my Google Doc to that point. And always remember that if something in your document updates, you can always click on your table of contents like I just did, come to the left-hand side and click on the update button, and it would update these links, or in the case of the one with page numbers, it would update the page numbers that are being used. So try out adding a table of contents to your own Google Doc. Hey everybody, welcome back. We want to look at one of the great things about having files stored in the cloud, and that is the ability to share them with a coworker. Google Docs does this like a champ. So right now I have a letter that I want to share with a coworker or someone else, even outside of my organization. What I'm going to do to actually share the letter is come to the top right-hand corner. It's hard to miss because it's so big. We're going to see the share button. When I click on this, it opens up the sharing box. Now let's take a minute and explore this. Right now it's going to show what Google account I'm in. Now to determine the type of link that I will be sharing, this is how the file will be shared with someone, I can come to this gear in the top right-hand corner. This is important because again, it determines how people will be able to access the file and if they can edit the file. When I click on this, you'll notice that it's letting me know that this person I'm sharing the file with would be an editor, which means they have the ability to change these permissions and also share the file. Viewers and commenters can see the options to print, download. And notice that if I uncheck either of these, it would turn those features off for the person I'm sharing the file with. I'm going to keep them both checked. And then I'm going to come back and type in the address of the person that I want to share the file with. Notice it tells me that the person I'm logged in as is the owner. That means I'm the one that created the file and the file resides in my Google Docs. Then I'm going to click on Done. That person is going to get an email with a link to this file inside of it. If they open it, they will be able to edit that file and make changes to it. And again, all I'm doing is going to the top right-hand corner of the file and clicking on Share. And you'll notice that it allows me to control how that file is shared with my coworkers. And it's an excellent way to give coworkers and other people access to your files without having to send an email. So open up Letter Sharing-A from your Google Docs, or I should say from the exercise files, and try sharing it. Hey everybody, welcome back. I have a letter open in Google Docs right now called Letter Sharing that I have shared with someone. And I now want to unshare this file so they no longer have access to it. Now, first of all, how do you know when a file's been shared? You can actually go to your Google Docs homepage to see if files have been shared. So I'm going to come up here to the top left-hand corner to my Google Docs home button. This is again where we can see recent documents I've worked on and also some of the templates that I can base new Google Docs on. If I have shared a file with here, the card representing those files, you'll actually see this little two-headed button. This lets me know that this is a file that I have shared. Also, notice here in the middle of my Google Docs homepage, I can actually see different types of permissions on files. Right now, I'm looking at files that are owned by me. I can also open it up and see files that are owned by anyone. And finally, files that are not owned by me. This would mean files that someone has shared with me. So you can see how it really changes your view of what you're seeing. Now, how can I unshare this document? A really great place to go to unshare a Google Doc is actually your Google Drive. So to get to Google Drive, again, different doorways, I'm going to come to the top left-hand corner of my Google Docs homepage and click on my main menu. And then I'm going to come down to Google Drive. This will take me into a list of all the folders and files that are in my current Google Drive account that I'm using. As I scroll down, how do I know that something is shared? Well, it's pretty easy if you're looking for it. Notice right here next to this document, I actually see two heads. This indicates that the file is shared. Now, when I click on it, it doesn't change anything, but I have now selected the file. Now, if I go up to the top right-hand corner where I can again adjust different things with the file, you'll see a head and shoulders button with a plus sign. This is all about managing how this file is shared. I'm going to click on this and it's going to take me into the sharing options for this particular document or Google Doc, I can say. And it's going to show me who it's currently shared with and give me the ability to actually share it with additional people. In this case, I'm seeing who I've currently shared it with. Notice I can click on the arrow, change how they're sharing the file. Right now they're an editor, so I could change them to being a viewer only. Or at the very bottom, I can say remove, and now the file's no longer shared with them. And I want you to see what this looks like when it's unshared. So I'm going to go ahead and hit escape. The change has been made. Okay. Actually, I have to save it. Then it's going to update the change. Sometimes you may need to refresh the browser, but if I scroll down again and look at that file, you'll notice that when I click on it and highlight it, it no longer has the little two heads next to it, indicating that it's now been unshared. So we want you to go in, share a file, and then go to your Google Drive and try unsharing it because it's what makes using web-based applications so powerful. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to show you my top favorite feature of Google Docs, and that's the ability of two people to be editing the document at the same time. This is what we call real-time collaboration, and it's my favorite feature, again, of web-based apps. So right here, I have this letter. Right now, I have it open in my Google Docs home screen, and it's shared with one of my coworkers. I'm going to go ahead and double-click on it and open it up. Now, my coworker is also in this document. They got an email link to it, and they're actually inside of it at the same time as me. But I want you to see a couple things about this, what makes it so unique. First of all, you'll notice there are two sets of cursors, and as my coworker clicks around in the file, they'll see it. And yeah, it's me. Also, if I go to the top right-hand corner, I can also see their profile picture if they have one or their initials, and it will actually let me see a contact option for them where I can come in and I can email them, I could send them a comment, and I can even, if they're set up, connect with them through a video call or schedule an event to work with them. But as they click around in the document, I'm actually seeing what they're doing. Now, if they make changes, will I see their changes update in the file? The answer is yes. It can take a little bit of time, but I want you to see that my coworker, aka me, is actually making changes to the file, and I'm seeing their changes real time because everything is saving back to Google Drive as these changes are being made. And it's a great way for two people to be able to simultaneously work on a file. Can I still make changes in the file? Absolutely. I'm going to come in and make a change, and my coworker on the other side who's in the file with me would see my change at the same time. So everything saves back to your Google Drive. The biggest thing that will impede this process is your internet's upload speed because you are having to be dependent upon it. But it's a great way for two people to work in a file simultaneously, and it's probably my favorite thing, as I've already said a million times about Google Docs. And we don't have to worry about saving anything because everything is saving back to that Google Drive as we go. So if we close the Google Doc without saving, it doesn't matter because it's already saved. Now, we'd like you to try this out, but you'll need to get a partner, share one of the files in the exercise files folder, and then have them go into it with you. They'll see a link in their email when they share the file, and that's all that's required to share a file. And then you can both see what it's like to try real-time co-authoring within Google Docs. Hey everybody, welcome back. I want to be able to take a letter that I've created as a Google Doc and download it. Now in our practice files folder, if you go in, you can look for business letter-A and try this out. Great thing about Google Docs, this is another thing that is super easy to do. Not only that, you can actually download your Google Docs as different file formats. To access your download options, we're going to come to the File drop-down menu and come into Download. And when you actually come and click on the arrow, you're going to see several different options. Microsoft Word, open document format, rich text format, PDF, plain page, web page, and EPUB. Let's start with Microsoft Word, right? I've had a Google Doc. Now I need to transfer it into Microsoft Word. So I click on this. What we'll see in the top right-hand corner is any downloads you've done will actually give you the ability to open the file, or notice over here on the right, it can show in a folder. I'm just going to open the file up, then I'll show you what it looks like. So it just opened, and right here you can actually see that it's now open on my computer. I would, of course, need Microsoft Word for this to work on my device. And it's not free, right? But it has opened, and I would now need to save it where I want it to go. But it does have by default the same name as my Google Doc. Now, if I jump back into Google Docs again, let's look at one more option that's super common. With this one, I'm going to go back to my downloads, and this time I'm going to pick a PDF. Another very common format. Again, we'll see it open up. I actually already downloaded it as a PDF, so it's in there twice. But if I click on Open File, this one will actually open depending on the type of browser that you're using in the browser window. And then from here, I could, for example, come up and save it locally on my device. I also will have different options, but this would allow me to have a PDF copy. And again, when I do these downloads, it is making a copy of my letter that's currently in my Google Docs folder. So it's really easy to do. Again, open the business letter-A up from exercise files and try creating some downloads of it. It's spiffy. Hey everybody, welcome back. There are certain things that we know Google Docs does well and some things where we'd like more options. This is where you can install add-ons. These are additional applications that can run inside of Google Docs. Great news, a lot of these are free, so we want you to know that they are available so that you can explore some of them. We're going to actually come into Google Docs. Right now I have my business letter document open, but you could do this from any of your Google Docs. And I'm going to come up to the drop-down menu that says Add-Ons. After I do this, you'll see that right now I don't have any, so I'm going to get some add-ons just by clicking on Get Add-Ons, and it's going to open up the Google Docs add-ons. Now, these are actually coming from the Google Workspace Marketplace, and this is where there are lots of add-on apps that you can bring into Google Docs. Up here, notice you can search for different ones. So, for example, I'm going to come in and look for the Doc Builder. This is a very popular add-on inside of Google Docs, and you'll notice that it allows me to bring in reusable snippets of text. I'm going to select it, and then this is going to install, and you'll notice that as I do this, it's asking me for permission to do this. So you want to be careful that you're not bringing in anything you shouldn't. It tells you about the things that it will do, and then it's actually going to install this add-on into my Google Docs. And you'll notice to access it, it tells me I'll need to go into my add-ons menu. When I'm done, I can close it, and notice that if I ever wanted to uninstall it, I could come back because it runs inside of Google Docs. Now when I go to my add-ons, I can come in and I'll see the Doc Builder add-on inside this menu. If I open it, you'll notice that what it does is it actually opens it up over here. And you'll see that I can actually add snippets of text to this add-on, and it will actually allow me to bring them into my document. You'll see there are many different kinds, but it's basically a way, like you see here, to add different kinds of text into my document. Like right here, I've added a couple different ones. These will undo, but these are things that Google Docs would not do well on its own, and that's what makes the add-ons so exciting. So open up Google Docs and try exploring some of the different add-ons that are there and play with them in one of your own Google Docs. Hey everybody, welcome back. We want to look at a way that you can actually create your own code inside of Google Docs. Now what we're looking at is accessing the Google Apps script. This is a rapid application development platform that makes it fast and easy to create business applications that interface or integrate with applications like Google Docs. What you're doing here is you're writing code in modern JavaScript, and it has access to built-in libraries for your favorite Google apps. So what we want to do here to access a script within Google Docs is click and then go up to the Tools drop-down menu. And as you come into Tools towards the bottom, you will see Script Editor. This will actually take you into the app's script for this Google app, or I should say Google Doc that we're in. And then you would be able to actually come in and create your own scripting inside of the Google Doc. So again, this is something that does require a little bit of code knowledge, but if you have that, you can really use it to help add to your Google Docs and give it more functionality. And for people that are, again, developers and programmers, this really makes Google Docs an unlimited space where they can really customize the application. So go ahead, open up a new blank Google Doc and try going into, again, the Tools drop-down menu and then down to Script Editor so that you can go in and actually access this area and play with it on your own. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this advanced Google Docs course. We have looked at everything from creating tables to inserting images to even creating charts using Google Sheets. We really hope this course has been helpful, and please come back and take more.